You don't speak Spanish or no hablas inglés? No problem. We have included subtitles for English, Spanish, Portuguese and French.
The trip was from from Australia back to Singapore, and from Singapore to France, Dubai to Malaysia. Promoting girls, empowering girls, mainly in Iran, has a very nice population. Stay at home until they get married and become mothers quite early and so on. Power bank and a solar panel for charging.
Hello Martin,
Hello.
Welcome to Getting to Know Humanity. We are going to start, as always, with a lightning round. So I'm going to ask you 8 quick questions so that the people can get to know you really quick. First one, introvert or extrovert?
Let's say extrovert.
Eggs or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Big city or small town life?
Big city.
Friends with benefits or stable relationship?
Both.
Hawaii or Alaska?
Hawaii.
And the last one, living forever or being able to teleport yourself?
Living forever.
All right, thank you very much for the lightning round. Can you introduce yourself really quick? Like, how old are you? What do you work?
So I'm a 56-year-old teacher living in Vienna. I have 2 adult sons. I'm living alone. Yes.
All right, great. Before we started the interview, you have told me, or I've read on your profile on Couchsurfing, that you have a big project in Uganda. Can you tell a bit about the project and how you came up with this idea?
The project is about a school, mainly, with some things around it, like a cultural center and some additional aspects like promoting girls, empowering girls, like sustainability in many ways. We want to establish techniques or methods can improve life in a sustainable way. For example, we call this Innovation Hub. So we want to bring together things from different parts of the world. It must not be new, just they should work well to save energy and to make life easier, better at the same time. I am a couchsurfing host in Vienna, so I get quite a lot of requests and hosted a lot of people, let's say 350 or so, and some friendships stayed since hosting, and once I decided to visit them. And on the other hand, I have my brother living in Sydney, so I said, okay, I'll make a tour Asia and visit friends and visit my brother. And on this tour, I not only visited friends, I also had new friends, mainly in Iran, has a very nice population. So it was always going somewhere, meeting new people, and then having a sad farewell and the feeling, okay, I'm old enough to never come there again. Most probably I will not see them again. And this was quite sad. It gave me a sense of that life is limited. So yeah, and then I had the idea to make a gathering of these friends, the new and the old ones, and managed to connect some couchsurfing friends before that, and this was a quite nice experience for me. And so I thought it's even better to have all of them on one place. And one couchsurfing friend is in Uganda, and I told him about this idea, and my idea was to build up an infrastructure and to make this event and then hand over this infrastructure to the local population. And my friend Pascal, he liked the idea and said, yes, in South Sudan they would need such an infrastructure. And then I said, okay, yes, but I don't want to invite my friends to South Sudan. And then only he told me about a school project that he is planning in Uganda. And I was in Malaysia at that time and on the way to Taiwan. And since that time, we wrote a lot of emails to get those 2 ideas together, because the school also needs the infrastructure. And so we said, okay, we can, as a first step, start with infrastructure for this meeting, and then the school will use it later. And then my friend Pascal had the idea that we could make a cultural center to make this more permanent, so that people in the area could meet and people from outside also could meet there. For this, I can tell you that alone in his hometown Arua, there are at least 4 different languages spoken, and there are also refugees from other countries there, and so it's quite a big mixture. And for the population there alone, it would be a good idea to have this cultural center. And the idea of bringing people from outside there with new ideas and with getting to know the population there and bringing new knowledge to their countries, this was quite fascinating for us both. So, and when I came back to Vienna, I told about that to some friends, and then we made up a NGO. Yeah, now we are working on that.
So is this more like a cultural center for people that can spend their free time in this center? Or is it more like a school? I'm not sure if I understood
it should be both. It's a school, but in the evening the local population should also have a place together, and by that have more connection to the school where maybe their children or relatives go to. And there are some ideas connected to that because, for example, I said something about girls' empowerment. One idea is girls tend to drop out of school quite early in such countries like Uganda because of lack of money and and other problems. And whenever there is such a problem, the girls are the first to leave school. They stay at home until they get married and become mothers quite early and so on. And if you can avoid them to leave school, it's better for them personally and all in all. And the idea was to have provide some opportunities to, first of all, continue education. Second, to learn something, some life skills, maybe even some, vocational training. So to be ready for a job and to earn some money.
Yes. Like, how are you working on this project, and how could somebody else, if he sees this video and maybe wants to join this project, how would this be possible?
Well, there's a website, damavas.eu, and Damavas in German, in Austrian dialect, means let's do something. So we invite everyone to do something.
Okay, great. You said that you traveled to Uganda and to Sydney. Can you tell a bit how you traveled? Like in the beginning, you told me by bike. Yes. Can you explain that a bit? How did you do it? What were the obstacles? What were the adventures?
Yeah, the trip to Sydney was mainly by bike and ship, and that is the main problem because I had to be at the harbor at a certain time, and so I was a little bit stressed all the time to be a week before the container ship would leave, because they don't wait for a passenger and they are very flexible. If they have more load, they stay longer. If they have less, they go earlier. So you have to be there on time. And so this was the main obstacle. By planning, I knew that I should be in Dubai, for example, at a certain time, and so I couldn't say, oh, I want to stay longer in Armenia or wherever. But on the other hand, it gave me structure. I had to plan it beforehand, of course, and then I just did it. But on the other way, everything went so smoothly. I had mainly good weather. I had no accident. I had just one flat tire, and this was in Australia, 200 kilometers before visiting my brother, and there was no COVID.
Oh, that's amazing. How many kilometers did you go by bike, and how many kilometers did you go every day approximately?
So my plan was to cover 500 kilometers every week, doing 100 kilometers a day, and having 2 days as I call it pillow, for some problems or for recovering or for visiting. And most of the time it was a little bit more than 100 kilometers, so I had some time left and could make some extra tours sometimes. Yeah, but it was easier to calculate with 500 kilometers a week.
How many kilometers has that been altogether, more or less?
So it was 14,000 kilometers. The way was 14,000. It was a little bit more because, for example, I was in Shenzhen and made a tour to Hong Kong and back, and I didn't calculate this extra because this was not my way. It was just for fun. Yeah, this was a good time for me, and it was all in all it was 70 days because the trip was from Taiwan to Australia, and from Australia back to Singapore, and from Singapore to France, and I forgot, from Dubai to Malaysia. So 4 times I was on the ship.
And have you done a bike travel before this huge tour, or?
Only a little one. I went from Vienna to Berlin and I tried to make it in 8 days. I thought it's good to make 150 kilometers at the time, but then I realized it's better to reduce it because it was really exhausting. It was a little experience, but I learned a lot.
And how much time before you've done this huge travel, almost around the world? Or how much time before have you done the trip to Berlin?
I think it was nearly a year before.
And if someone wants to do a bike trip for a couple of months as well, what kind of recommendations can you give for preparing for that? Like also organizational regarding how to repair bikes? What did you do?
What I did was buying quite good stuff. For example, the bags for the bike were good quality, so they are a little bit more expensive and they are heavier, but yeah, maybe this is a recommendation. I think I had a little bit too much luggage because I wanted to have a power bank and a solar panel for charging and generator for charging if the sun is not shining and so on. I think I could have reduced maybe 10 kilos of my luggage.
All right. Did you use the hand generator, or what would you say? What were the items that you wouldn't take again with you?
For example, the generator and the solar panel. I think there was no place where I had no chance to charge. The power bank is okay to have it. This is enough for charging.
So was this your first trip where you've traveled a long time?
It was the first for such a long time because this was a year. But the reason that I tried this was some years before. So I visited my brother 2015, and at the time it was by flight, and it took me 42 days with also visiting couchsurfing friends in certain countries. And at that time I fell in love with some countries like Taiwan and wanted to come back, but I wanted to do it in a good way. From this trip to 2015, I started planning the trip for 2018. And first I had a more or less crazy idea, and I quit it because I wanted to tour with a tandem and always invite friends or strangers or whoever who wants to go with me for a certain part of the tour.
On a tandem bike or?
With a tandem bike, yes.
Okay.
But this was so complicated to organize, and the tandem was a nice one, but it was hard to move alone, and then you would need an engine, a motor, and you would need solar panels to charge, and so it was too complicated in the end.
Why do you need solar panels, or why do you need electricity for the tandem?
Because the tandem is so heavy. Even I tried it with a friend to go up a hill without battery, and it was impossible.
How did you feel after you came back? What was your first impression when you've been back to Austria again?
I thought that this trip would change me a little bit, but it was funny. I found ways to be like I am, like I always was, even on this trip. For example, when I started the first days from Vienna to Romania, I just went as long as I wanted. Then I looked for a place to stay, and after some months I planned 5 days ahead where I would stay, which village and which hotel or hostel. I knew 5 days before because I started structuring everything more than necessary, I would say. So just having the memories and knowing that I did it, and knowing I had these experiences and these encounters with friends and new friends. I can't say it changed me, but it made me more complete, because there's no day, really no day since this, it's now 2.5 years. There is no day when I have no really lively memories. And yeah, maybe I could tell this. I made a lot of videos. I had the camera in front of my bike, and I made some videos with a camera too, extra camera. So every day there was at least 1 hour of video. And I also was writing diary and on a blog, and I made photos and posted on this blog and so on. This was a lot of work. Now I can say this work was more for me than for anyone else, because the most seen video on YouTube has maybe 300 views, so not much. And the blog was read mainly by my family, so maybe 10 people were reading this. The benefit is more lively memories. Disadvantage was I lost a lot of time.
All right. Would you do something different for your next travel? If you would do exactly the same travel again, you could go back in time. Would you do something different?
I want to go to Uganda in some years. I will take a gap year in 3 years again. And then I want to go to Uganda again with the ship as near I can come, and then crossing the continent.
But for your travels, or for the last travel, would you do something different apart from not taking 10 kilos of luggage?
Yeah. No, I think it's not realistic because I am who I am, so it would be the same again.
All right. Do you have a book that you can recommend?
There are some books I would recommend. The book Factfulness, because it's a mixture of getting an idea of about the world and getting an idea about our mental structure, our ways of thinking, or making mistakes in the way of thinking.
And the last question, what do you think all humans have in common?
On this trip, I learned that there are so many ways of being funny and being kind, but in the end, there are so many nice people in any culture, and I feel much more united than before after having these experiences by couchsurfing. This opened my mind a lot even before traveling, because I had so many different people staying at my home. Yeah, there's much more in common than differences.
All right, great. Well, those were all my questions. Thank you very much for the patience and for answering them. So,
thank you for being patient with my bad English.
All right, thank you very much, Martin.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching this video and for your support. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much.